Hello, you amazing people. Welcome back to RXMemes. A special shout out to all of my viewers who replied to my question of the day yesterday. I was shocked that there were so many May and June babies and a lot of Scorpios. So, hi Scorpios. Hi, you spicy little creatures. I'm going to include right now and a little bit previously happy late birthday, happy birthday, or happy early birthday to all of my March babies who replied. And a little disappointing that I only share a birth month with like 3 people who answered. And I was born in December, on December 18th, a week before Jesus, and I share a birthday with Joseph Stalin, so sorry for that. But my Sagittarians, man, where are you guys at? I'm trying to vibe with you guys, so whatever. Okay, I'll just be here by myself with my 2 other Sagittarian friends, no big deal. Anyways, today's question of the day is, are you a cat person, a dog person, or another kind of favorite pet kind of person? Let me know in the comments and your answer might be included in my next video. Today's video might be my favorite video ever. If you like to laugh, please keep watching. If you like dogs, please keep watching. If you like pets and animals and smiling, please keep watching. Disclaimer, if you want to skip the intro and you want to get right into the story, I'll put it on the screen where you can click. Otherwise, about 5 years ago, I had a pet. And this pet was a dog, and he was also, I'm pretty sure, a demon. But he was also a comedian and a clown. Like, this dog was everything. I'll put a picture on the screen right now of the kind of dog he was. So at the time, I had a pet English Bull Terrier, and those, for those of you who don't know, are... You probably, if you like dogs or you don't like dogs, you've probably seen it and thought, wow, that is an ugly dog. Because before I had one, I was like, that is an ugly dog. Like, who would have that? It's the Target dog, you guys. The Don Cherry dog for you Canadians. And so while I had him, I was doing like research on, you know, the best ways to train them, because anyone who's had one knows they're next to impossible to train. Somehow I stumbled across this blog that I'm going to include in the link below, because these 2 stories are the best stories I've ever read. They are so funny. With that being said, I'm so sorry for the long intro, but I want to get right into it, and I'm gonna put these as probably r/prorevenge because these dogs are savage. So let's get right on into the video. Are Bull Terriers Good with Children? The following story, titled Are Bull Terriers Good with Children by Peggy Amode, appeared in the Bull Terrier Club of South Australia magazine in February 1994. Haven't we all been asked this question many times? Yes. If raised with children, a Bull Terrier is a perfect companion, gentle and aware of the child's fragility. Haven't we all watched a great lump of dog play quietly on the floor with babies, then without warning hurl itself upon an unsuspecting adult with sufficient force to practically land him in the intensive care unit? So I would like to ask this question. Are Bull Terriers good with adults? Not one of my dogs has ever laid a tooth on me, but the damage to my person has, over the years, been considerable. One rainy morning, I was standing in the driveway watching my husband back out of the car when Muffin came flat out around the corner. One rainy morning, I was standing in the driveway watching my husband back out the car when Muffin came flat out around the corner of the house carrying a length of 2x4. What she was intending to do with this piece of lumber has never been determined. It is possible that she was becoming bored with the demolition trade and was about to enter the construction business. Turning at her approach, I received the full impact of the wood on my shin bone and was knocked to the ground by the force, where I lay screaming with pain and fury. Muff observed this odd behavior for a moment, then deciding that she has heard all those words before, usually directed at her anyway, she retrieved her wooden weapon and spinning it around with the grace and agility of a baton twirler, connected neatly with the back of my head as I was attempting to get to my feet. The impact returned me to my previous horizontal position, this time face down. My husband, who witnessed the entire performance, informed me later that the timing was superb, worthy of the best Keystone Cops or Marx Brothers. But he delayed his departure, herded the menace into her kennel, and inquired through his merriment if I was hurt. Stating I thought I might live long enough to murder the wretched bitch, I was helped to my feet, but I found I could not put any weight on the injured leg, and my scalp was cut and bleeding. So a trip to the accident room of the local hospital was thought advisable. Being my first visit for emergency treatment, I was not prepared for the volume of information required. Name, address, occupation, or routine, but how, when, and why. I am an obstetrical nurse, and our patients are admitted onto the floor with a minimum of questions. We know why they are there and how it happened, and we assume the patient knows too, although sometimes one wonders. The admitting nurse was efficient and thorough. Vital statistics dealt with some unexpected questions. Now, how did this accident happen? Well, I said, you see, my dog had this big piece of wood in her mouth and she hit me with it. Your dog? Yes. I see. And the head wound? Well, my dog did that too. With a piece of wood? Yes, it was the same piece of wood actually. I see. Well, I said, coming quickly to Muffin's defense. Of course she didn't mean to. She sort of spun around and had this piece of wood in her mouth, you see, and, well, she hit me with it. I was sitting in the driveway at the time. Our local hospital does not have a psychiatric floor, but I could see by the expression on the nurse's face that she was aware of the desperate need for one. I was x-rayed, treated, amid controlled giggles from the staff, and released. The next major incident followed swiftly. Minor ones occur almost daily. The paddock gate is, of necessity, sturdily built of oak and heavy. It opens inward. Every day I collect each dog after his play period. I call them from whatever act of mayhem they may be committing, push open the gate, and bend down ready to snap on the lead. For 364 days of the year, Bloody Mary had galloped to the gate, come around it, and been leashed in the usual fashion. On this particular day, whether due to a whim or perhaps because the moon was in Aquarius, she chose to project herself approximately at the speed of light from the far corner of the paddock. And instead of coming around the gate, she leapt at it with all the force of her 50 pounds of muscle, slamming it shut on my head. I went down like a pole-axed ox, and remained down and long enough for the murderous beast to remove and eat the bait biscuits from my pocket. She also removed and apparently ate the pocket. A small hairpiece I was wearing has never been seen again. Presumably, it was quickly killed and buried. Staggering into a lawn chair, I sat, holding my head and considering an early retirement from dog breeding while Mary amused herself by eating the geraniums. This pastoral scene continued for a while until my neighbor drove up, took one look at me, and insisted, yes, you guessed it, a trip to the emergency room. The last thing I wished to do on this earth was return to the hospital where, after the muffin episode, there exists some doubt as to my sanity. I am known locally as that cuckoo lives up the hill with those funny-looking white things she says are dogs. But feeling too sick to argue or resist, I was firmly placed in the car and hurried off to my fate. And so it came to pass that once again I presented myself at the local emergency room. Of course, the admitting nurse was the same as before, the staff also. Approaching the desk in embarrassed misery, torn clothing, wild hair, a great lump on my forehead, and eyes blackening fast, I am greeted by an obviously wary nurse. Goodness, Miss Arno, sit down. Whatever happened to you now? I take a deep breath. Oh, God will get you for this, Bloody Mary. With visions of padded cells looming large in my future. Well, I said, you see, my dog. Are bull terriers good with children? Yes, they are lovely. Are bull terriers good with adults? Well, I am adult and they are not good with me, and I have the scars, my body, my furniture, and my psyche to prove it. My Worst Bully Nightmare by Robert Ballong. Hey mates, I am finally going to write this saga, but only after the naggings of my BT mentoress, Linda Lethen. When she heard this story, she insisted I tell all you guys on the list, but first, I must warn you, it's graphic, it's ugly, but it's also true. No names have been changed to protect the innocent. I have had bullies for nearly 12 years. I had had no major incidents prior to this. I attribute this to my professional training. I have been a police officer for 17 years. During my jail tours, I developed skills in handling the unhandleable, such as serial killers Randy Kraft, Charles Bonin, and even Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. So, with the experience I gained in keeping these guys under control, I have always done the same with my bullies. Never an escape, nor a major destruction of property. Then came the new dog, Kingsmere Casanova, aka Cosmo. He is a maniac, the wildest, most huckle-butting dog I've ever owned. It happened a few months ago when Cosmo was about 6 months old. I woke up that morning feeling down, but, being the dedicated employee I am, went to work anyway. I hate using my sick time when I'm sick. When I got home, I was looking forward to going straight to bed, as by now I had a fever and body aches. But to my dismay, I had forgotten my daughter's softball practice. I could not press my wife, Lori, into taking her because she was already taking my son to ice hockey practice. So I left home with my daughter and returned some 2.5 hours later. The first clue something was wrong appeared when I opened the garage door. The garage was flooded. Where did that water come from? I asked my daughter. I walked to the door leading to the house from the garage and opened it. I heard the sound of running water coming from my daughter's room. What in the hell? I thought. I lurched into my daughter's room and was met by the sound of water squishing in the rug under my feet. I peered around the corner to her 85-gallon aquarium, which houses rare and exotic Rift Valley African cichlids from Lake Tanganyika. And yes, of course, expensive. The tank was nearly empty. The water had all escaped, wet the rug, and seeped out through the drywall into the garage. My God, I yelled, my fish! My daughter followed me as I went to the equipment cabinet under the aquarium to see what kind of mechanical defect caused this tragedy. I opened the cabinet door, and to my disbelief, there was Cosmo inside the cabinet. He had the aquarium water outflow hose in his mouth, last few ounces of water drinking from it, as he shook it like a madman. He looked up at me with a look of surreal satisfaction, his little black beady eyes glinting in the dark cabinet. He had a strange look, almost a smile on his face. A million thoughts ran through my head. How did a dog get inside a closed aquarium equipment cabinet? How did he get inside the house? It did not take long to place the blame on my wife. She had forgotten to put Cosmo away when she left for hockey. I picked Cosmo up and walked him to his crate, my feet squishing in the soaked carpet. As I walked, I surveyed the destruction. He had been in the house over 2 hours by himself. He had systematically clipped all the electrical cords from their plugs, leaving the plugs sticking out of their outlets with little piggy tails. Why he didn't get electrocuted, I don't know. Cosmo also chewed up my son's brand new hockey helmet, and in an attempt to get a toy out from under our couch, he ripped most of the fabric off the lower portion of the sofa. He emptied the kitchen trash can and had strewn the trash throughout the house. But the coup de grace, the pièce de résistance, that little touch that only the evil mind of a pig dog could think of, hit me last and sent me over the edge. As I walked through my bedroom, I began to smell something and noticed stains on my walls, leading from my bathroom to my bedroom, through the hallway and into the kitchen. I entered the bathroom, and the full realization sank in. One of my children, one of my precious, lovely children whom I love, but who have had the bad habit of not flushing the toilet, had gone number 2, defecated, had a bowel movement. For international fans not familiar with American colloquialisms, and did not finish the job by flushing, nor were they troubled by closing the lid. Cosmo had found this interesting object floating in the john and plucked it out, and ran hucklebutt through the house, throwing it in the air as he did, as evidenced by the streaks on the walls. That was it. I lost it. Just as my wife came home, I began to cuss and couldn't stop. I never yell and was now doing so at the top of my lungs. My neighbors came out in dismay. I finally calmed down, nearly cried, mentally and physically wrecked, and spent the next 4 hours cleaning the mess up. A professional rug cleaner was called, extra money for the late night emergency, and my children forced to clean the artwork off the walls. Late that night, after I had fallen asleep, I awoke with a start. I had a sudden realization of what that mysterious look on Cosmo's face was when he was in the aquarium cabinet. It was a shit-eating grin. But I still love my bullies. Robert Ballong, Corona, California, USA. Alright everybody, that's it for today's video. I know that it's different than the Reddit content that I normally post, but I thought they were too funny to not share. So if you didn't like today's video, don't worry, we're going to get back into the Reddit content later on today. There's another one going up, but I just wanted to share this. I hope that you liked it. If you did, I would love for you to subscribe, and don't forget to answer today's question of the day, and you might be included in a video tomorrow or later today. Alright, I will see you in my next video. Bye!